So do the Yankees have any room left in them for another splash? And what exactly would that splash look like? Let's talk about it right now. Hey gang, I hope you're all doing well. Happy Saturday. Hopefully I'll see you tonight when we go live. We'll talk about some more stuff. But question today I have for you is do the Yankees have any room to make any splash? Do they have any willingness to make any splash? And what type of splash would that represent? Okay, and if you can see the title, could they make a splash and pull off a stunner and trade for a guy like Devin Williams? All right. The reason why I mentioned Devin Williams because he's available now. The Brewers have traded Corbin Burns, and they're listening on Devin Williams. They're also listening on Willie Adames, but the Yankees don't need Willie Adames. And let's be straight about this now, okay? Is anybody going to sit here and say, well, the Yankees did trade for Juan Soto, but they didn't sign Phil Maton, so the offseason was a failure? Or if they don't sign Ryan Brazier, the offseason is going to be a failure. Is anybody actually going to sit here and say that with any seriousness? So that's something to keep in mind. Am I to believe the Yankees? I think the Yankees are done with incremental moves, okay? And, they've added Cody Poteet, Matt Gage, Cody Morris in a trade, Victor Gonzalez in a trade. These guys are no less incremental, and even Luke Weaver in signing too. These guys are no less incremental adds as a Ryan Brazier is or a Phil Maton is, right? Which leads me to other guys. There's still other relievers available. At this point, though, if the Yankees were to make any type of splash, I think the guy to be worth making a splash for is this guy, Devin Williams from the Milwaukee Brewers, okay? Emmanuel Clase is potentially available too, but the Guardians now have a TV deal, okay, in place, so he might not be available. But the fact is, it would cost half their farm. But Devin Williams is nothing to sniff at either. He has a career 1.89 ERA, okay? He had a 1.53 ERA this year. He was 8-3, okay? And last year, he was 60 innings pitched with 96 strikeouts, okay? This year, 58 innings pitched with 87 strikeouts. So he's a power machine in the back end of the bullpen. And if you're going to add a reliever at this point, this is the guy you want to add, okay? He will not cost as much as Emmanuel Clase. Now, if they don't get him, it's not the end of the world either, because they've already added three or four guys to a bullpen that's already been a top 5 bullpen. They have 2 guys coming back in Scott Efros and Luis Hill. Now, the question remains, what would I be willing to offer for a guy like Devin Williams? Well, they traded Corbin Burns. They got a package of prospects there. I would start. I mean, if I could, I would offer a package of an Oswald Peraza, because they had a first base and a third base need. They addressed first base with Rhys Hoskins. They signed him on the deal, which confuses me as to why they would add him and then trade away Corbin Burns. But it is what it is. So if they're planning on contending, they need their ace. They don't have him now. But just because the Orioles got him, congratulations to him, doesn't mean the Yankees have had a worse offseason. Okay? Let's not plant that conspiracy theory in our heads either. So Devin Williams represents exactly the type of power arm in the back end of the bullpen that the Yankees could get. And again, I go back to what I would offer for him. Probably an Oswald Peraza, who would address that third base need for the Brewers on a cheap, controllable contract. 5 more years of control, maybe even 6 actually. Everson Pereira would be another guy I would bring in, has 6 years of control. And then I would offer either one of Luis Hill or Yoendris Gomez. Okay, they're the Yankees' 20 and 21st prospect, okay, as an option to potentially go into the bullpen or even slide into the rotation to replace either Corbin Burns and or Devin Williams. I would give him a pitcher in a deal as well. And the Yankees have enough depth at this point to to withstand a loss, and they've given up a lot of pitching. They've lost 10 pitchers, okay, but that's not all trades. They lost a handful of them to the Rule 5 draft too. Their farm was gutted in the Rule 5 draft. So, but they did trade away a fair amount of pitchers for Juan Soto and Trent Grisham, and even Alex Verdugo. So, but back to the Devin Williams thing, that's what I would offer, and we'll see how close they would get. Okay, again, a top 20 prospect, the number 3 prospect, Everson Pereira, and Oswald Peraza. So, Major League ready Oswald Peraza, Major League ready Everson Pereira. Give the Brewers some cheap, controllable depth offs to complement some of the young prospects they have coming up too. Okay, and adding an arm there would represent a nice fit. And again, like I said, the Yankees, in my opinion, can withstand the losing a Luis Hill or Yoendris Gomez. If they lose Hill, then Yoendris Gomez they can bring up to the major leagues. If they lose Gomez, they can Hill's coming back from Tommy John. Either one of them could provide them value at the major league level in the rotation or the bullpen. So that to me represents a good value. But like I said, I think the Yankees are done making their incremental moves. If they make another one, okay. But they don't need to make more incremental moves in the bullpen. So if they're going to make a splash in the bullpen, Devin Williams is the guy to get. And he's on a controllable contract. Okay. He's going to cost $7 million this year. He has an option for next year for $10 million. Okay. So he doesn't have to go through the arbitration process this year or next year. He's covered there. And again, the Yankees have money coming off the books. The Yankees can offset some of the money in a separate move for Devin Williams right now because he would cost double. 7 would become 14. So if they were able to move a guy like a Tommy Kahnle or Johnny the Wise Gore in a separate trade for draft picks or whatnot to a team that needs relievers, who's not interested in any of the relievers in free agency, this is a good thing that they could do if they can do it. But again, I would rather, if I'm going to make a splash right now, like I said earlier, I said this before, if they're going to make an expensive splash, it makes more sense to do it for an everyday player. But there's no room for an everyday player here. So I would make a smaller splash, yet a not insignificant splash for a guy like Devin Williams. Okay? Because, again, like I said, and I'll stress this again, okay? When they made their offer to Yamamoto, they were under the threshold. He turned it down. Then when they pivoted to Snell, they made him an offer. They were still under the threshold. They turned it down. At that point, they pivoted to Marcus Stroman. He wanted to be here. He took less money. Then they became over the threshold, okay? Now they're at the point where everything they spend gets doubled. So if somebody's going to get doubled, I'd rather double a $7 million guy than a 25 or 30 million guy. Okay? It just makes more sense. And Devin Williams could provide a lot of value. And I think Luke Weaver's got has a chance to become a rover here, a long reliever, starter, reliever, and so on and so forth. A swing guy, because he's shown the ability to throw over 100 innings. So we have him. Okay? So the Yankees have enough depth to withstand this type of stuff. And even add a guy like Devin Williams, and I think would be the only piece at this point that makes sense to make a splash with. Clase would be great, but again, he's going to cost more in terms of prospects. He's on an affordable contract, as is Devin Williams, and he's got several years of control, but doesn't seem to be available. So now that they have their TV deal, at least for 2024, settled. They've been picked up, as have the Minnesota Twins, as had the Texas Rangers. So I expect these three teams to be somewhat busy in the next, weeks leading up. And keep in mind, too, a lot of folks are under the impression that Cashman's done. He's made other moves. He's made February trades for a guy like Brandon Drury. He's made April trades for Wandy Peralta. He also traded for Jose Trevino in April. So they do these things sometimes during late spring training and early in the season. He has made moves. Okay, and again, they've done all their heavy lifting early in December. So it looks like they haven't done anything in a decade, which is total baloney. Okay, they've added the starting pitcher. They've added 4 relievers. They have 2 coming back. Okay, they've added depth in the infield, the bench, the outfield. They've added it everywhere. So they've been the busiest team this offseason if you look at the transaction wire. And again, I'll say this again too, not every move needs to be a super expensive move. Okay, those aren't the only moves that matter. A lot of folks are under the impression that they are. But again, at this point, I think they're done. I could be wrong. You let me know. Okay, and if we're hearing anything else, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss any of it. Okay, and if you enjoy the content, hit the like button too. I thank you so much for both. I want to make sure that you're in the loop with anything as it pertains to the Yankees. Okay, and bringing your perspective and your insight here always helps elevate the conversation, which we hope to do every time we go live too. Okay, there's some naysayers. It is what it is. But at this point, the only guy I think that's worth making a splash for that's available would be Devin Williams. Add to that bullpen as the final piece in the bullpen, especially if they don't somehow acquire, and I think the only way they're going to get an affordable starting pitcher right now is most likely in a trade, unless they're going to bring in somebody like Hyun-Jin Ryu from Toronto or somebody like that. I think it makes most sense to try to get a Devin Williams, but I'm fine with where their bullpen is right now. Let me know what you are, if you are. So, the Yankees, they have they have an A minus offseason for me. You get a guy like Devin Williams, it turns it into an A plus. Okay, and if they do happen to trade for a starting pitcher, A plus too. So we'll see what happens. Got a couple more weeks left. I expect some moves. Remember, guys get cut during spring training, released, so on. Teams can pick them up in trades. A lot of trades happen during spring training, under the radar ones. So when I say the Yankees aren't done yet, I mean the Yankees aren't done yet. And again, I never said the Yankees aren't done making huge moves. I just said they're not done yet. Let's talk about it, gang. See you tonight.